Hello everyone! Welcome to this review! So, it's been quite a long time since I've started this Let's Play. In fact, you probably don't remember most of it, it's been that long. Anyway, I figured that since we had company for the game, I'd also have company for the review. So of course we got Lantis and Ixzion here.
Hey!
Hi!
That was an enthusiastic hi.
It was!
Yeah, so we're going to be reviewing this hack here that we just finished playing, but first let's talk a little bit about the original game. Lantis, you start.
Oh, alright. Well, I love RPGs, and I fell in love with them. The first one I played was this game, so...
Same here.
Yeah, so...
Wow.
It has a very special place in my heart. Like, anybody's first RPG, especially RPGs fans, will always remember their first one, and it'll always be special to them. So, this game, and it's a wonderful game. It's a wonderful game to actually get into RPGs with, because it's not very hard. It's got, and if you're not from RPGs, and you're from more platformer like Mario, so it's a great theme to get you into the genre, and and I've got nothing bad to say about it. So there you go.
I got something bad to say about it. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much the reason why I decided to play this hack. Like I said, this was my first RPG also, the original Mario RPG, and I loved it so much that I played it to death. Played it so much that I just got way too good at it. Basically, what it amounts to is I don't even have to use magic anymore. I mean, there's Peach's group hug, and that's about it. The only other times I ever used magic in the game was in the beginning with Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt in the sunken ship. That's pretty much it, really. So I don't use Geno's magic spells. I don't use Geno boost. Bowser's attacks are pointless.
Hey.
So basically, just attack, and use group hug whenever I need to.
Which is that's the one RPG sin. You never let your game fall into the habit of just attack, heal. Like that's the worst way you could possibly have a battle, like have your battle system work in an RPG. Because that right there is boring.
And that's why I played this. So let's get into talking about this hack and how good or not good it might be. Let's start with the most obvious change from what you might have been watching from the most recent episodes. The maximum level. That was interesting change. Going from the maximum level of the original was 30 and now it's level 50.
Yeah, that's definitely a draw. Simply because you're like, wow, that's just... it's just the idea that you can be so much more powerful now. Get to levels that you never could before,
and still get your butt kicked.
And yeah.
So you actually need those levels.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, those levels aren't enough.
Yeah,
but I think we'll get into more on that later.
I didn't mention this, but the recommended level for Kulix was level 40. I think I need to. I needed to be level 70. That doesn't exist, by the way.
No.
So the maximum level is 50.
Yes.
But
and I was 50.
Recommended level for me to the developer 70.
It's not.
Of course, that wasn't the only change. There was, like, the items and equipment. Like, the items had some different descriptions, which was nice. Some of them had more specific descriptions. Others, not so much. Like, the amulet still made no sense to me, so I didn't use it.
Yeah, well, I at least going to give props for making the descriptions descriptive, At least in some part,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, new equipment, or some new equipment, it actually just told you straight out what the stat increases were going to be in the description.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. Instead of having to go into your menus, highlighting what's currently equipped, and take it back into the inventory and mouse over what you want to equip and look at the arrows going up and down and be like, all right, what was that number at? All right, that minus. All right, so that's a 15 increase, and that's I lose 3 here. It's that's just unnecessary. That's busy work.
Yep. Of course, there were also some changes with the equipment themselves, which was a mixed bag. For example, the cursed ring. Originally, it was the safety ring, and the safety ring was awesome. The cursed ring, not so much. As far as I could tell, it mainly just dropped your stats. It seemed like it also raised your attack, but it wasn't enough to make it worth using.
Well, what I think it is I think out of all the accessories in the game, that one is the most used because of how useful it is, and you get it fairly early in the game considering what it does. That kind of accessory you wouldn't think you would get unless you did like something optional later in the game,
Yeah, for those who don't know, the safety ring pretty much nullified most elemental spells.
Yeah, most of them did not get through.
I'm wondering if...
And
how you got it was basically go behind a barrel.
In the sunken ship underwater. It's the big room with the blooper with some baby bloopers following it.
Yeah.
In fact, you can if you look through the barrels, you can kind of see the porthole in the door. Like the glass porthole. You can kind of see it back there. So...
Yeah, I'm wondering if in the game, maybe if you have fought 255 battles with it equipped,
it turned into the paladin, the paladin ring. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's a Final Fantasy VI reference.
It is.
But the thing is, I think what we need to realize is that this game was meant to the entire point was not to be a difficult Romhack, but to make the game more balanced, right? Like, it's supposed to be not unfair, but a challenge compared to the original. And I think getting rid of the safety ring does that, but it was a bit of a troll to replace it with the cursed ring, You get there and like, oh boy, safety ring, cursed ring. Oh, you get the Price is Right fail sound going. You're like,
Of course, some changed items were definitely good. For example, the Star Egg was fantastic. In the
originally,
yeah,
go ahead.
Originally, the Star Egg, you had to, in both cases, you had to go to the casino, which is a secret place, and you have to do something special to get there. And you have to play and win a game of Look the Other Way 100 times. And what the original Star Egg did was 100 damage to all enemies, which was okay, but by the time you got the Star Egg, it was not all that useful, because Gino could already cause more than that much damage with his magic spells. In this version of the game, the Star Egg healed 100 HP to your party, which was awesome.
Yes, which, if only it did a little bit more, it would have actually been a legitimate replacement for Peach. So that, along with the Heart of Stone, Stoneheart or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
both of which I used extensively. The Heartstone was a replacement for an item that turned all enemies into sheep and immediately ended the battle.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
And even though the Heartstone could only be used on the person who was using the Heartstone, I still used it plenty, because 200 HP restored for free is pretty nice.
And you just don't get to select your target. It's just got to be the active turns heal.
That's the payoff, the trade-off.
Yeah, and it was fine.
Yeah, it's a fair trade-off. Now, once again, the main reason I came to this game was to get a challenge. And what attracted me to this Romhack in particular, I saw some videos and saw that battle strategies had been mixed up. Some of the bosses had different strategies, and it's like, oh, this will be really interesting. And what we're going to be doing here is going through just about pretty much all the bosses in the game right now. Starting with, actually I should start with Bowser, because Bowser was sort of a boss. In the original game, you pretty much had to just ignore Bowser and go straight for the chain link. That way you could drop him from the ceiling. In this version, it was interesting. You actually had to fight Bowser for a little bit before you could even target the chain link and drop him.
Now that is a good change. I actually like that. That gave it an extra bit of difficulty, lengthened the fight a little bit, and had to show that you were at least competent to be able to get through the fight.
It also made it a little more dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, it kind of sucks. No, I can't say that, because in the original Super Mario Brothers, you didn't touch Bowser there either. You just ran right past him and grabbed an axe.
Yeah.
So the fact that you could just not touch Bowser to beat him in there is kind of
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Considering it's supposed to be.
You never have a fire flower anyway.
True. Yeah. Well, no. I back in the day, I could get to Bowser with a fire flower. Not often.
I can.
It's not easy.
I know it's not easy. You hit once, you go back.
Yeah.
I had a strategy for that, but that's another story for another time. Now, the first real boss was the Hammer Brothers, or rather Hammer Brother, because instead of two of them, you fought one of them. And I thought going into that fight, first off, I was expecting 3 Hammer Brothers, not 1.
And I would have been okay with 3, actually.
Yeah, seeing just 1, I expected the fight to be relatively easy, but the fight went on and on. It's like, oh my goodness, yep, this game's definitely being a challenge, and that was enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that he could have used, maybe some alternate attacks or something, because aside from, a stat changes, the only difference was there was 1 less Hammer Bro.
Well, he did have 1 extra hammer attack.
Okay, good. That's good.
Was it called Hammer Time?
No.
Was it called Stop?
I don't think it had a name.
Yeah.
Then we eventually reached Croco, and that's where things really started getting mixed up a little, because in the original game, your strategy for Croco was to hit him with a bunch of fireballs. The first time you used it, it would stun him for a turn, getting you a free turn. My phone is ringing, and that is inconvenient.
What are you talking about? The phone's not ringing.
Oh, he's just going to edit it out in post.
So as I was saying, yeah, that's how Croco originally worked in the original, and he was weak to fire, so you could just keep on using Fireball. In this version, while he was still weak to fire, he actually counterattacked it. And that was a really nice mix-up there.
Yeah, it's those kind of moments, that a certain thing, if no one's going to be playing this game that hasn't played the original, right? That's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah.
So you change something like that to make them like, oh crap, that's a good thing, Well, there's also bad oh craps, but I guess we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But I like that. That was good. I like that.
And Mac was a similar situation. Originally he was weak to Thunderbolt, and the first time he used Thunderbolt, it stunned him for a turn. In this version, he countered it, but he kind of countered it in a different way. He stored the electricity, and after a couple turns, he used Static E.
Yeah.
Which he originally didn't have.
You don't see that spell for a while, actually.
Yeah, so he also had that volcano sort of attack that a whole lot of enemies killed me with.
Eruption?
It was Eruption, it was Backfire.
Backfire, right.
So yeah, the first several bosses were pretty cool. I liked the changes. After that, things started going downhill. We come across Balloon. In the original game, Balloon would occasionally eat Mallow, taking Mallow out for a few turns before spitting him back out. In this version, he didn't eat anybody. Instead, after a while, he would start trying to cook us or something. I don't really get it. I think it was like a counterattack. Not really sure. Either way, it was a lot less interesting.
Yeah. The thing is, in something like this, you need to not take away from the fights. It's just, you I don't know, maybe make it to where you could he could get eaten, but when he was spit out, he would come spit out as like under a random status effect. You know, I don't know, something.
Or maybe he would like eat Mallow midway through the fight and then wouldn't spit him out until you beat him.
Or you get eaten, and every turn that you have that you would have had if you weren't eaten, you take damage. You know, something to be like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. You know, or maybe make a way you can make him drop them sooner.
Or even, what if you got eaten and then he just spit out somebody at random?
And if you wanted to be a total jerk, what you could have done is have Mallow be eaten, and then if you don't beat Balloon fast enough, he'll also eat Mario, and then you're both dead.
Oh no! What would be really funny is if, and I don't know, like this probably wouldn't be able to be done in a ROM hack, but like if you got eaten, you could still get your turn and do like internal damage, like you could still attack them, but you would also take the same amount of damage, right?
That'd be funny.
Like so, let's say Mallow got 8, and you decided to normal attack while inside of Balloon, and then whatever damage you did to him, you did to yourself.
I like it.
Of course, to make that balance out, magic attacks wouldn't have that sort of effect.
Right. Just something. But taking away the eating thing was that was Bellum's thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even his character model was designed around the whole eating thing, that big waggly tongue and everything.
Of course, having Balloon's appetite taken away, it doesn't compare to what happened to Bowyer.
Oh goodness. In fact, oh gosh, not only was was all the cool things about that fight stripped entirely out, but what it was replaced with was broken. Completely broken. Like once you figure out what it is, how that fight works. All right. So originally, Bowyer would summon the actual keys on the SNES controller, X, Y, and A. And depending on what you use in that turn, he would fire an arrow at those buttons, and that button would be locked. You couldn't attack. If A was locked, you couldn't use items. If X was locked, then you couldn't use specials. If Y was locked, right? Instead, that was completely ripped out, and the buttons never appeared. And instead, Bowyer takes as many turns as however many people hit him consecutively before his next turn. So if, Mario, Mallow, and Gino hit him and then he has a turn, that means he's gets 3 turns. So what you do is you just defend with Mario and Mallow and just do Gino Beam, and he only gets 1 turn, and you're doing the most damage, and it's nerfs the entire fight.
And you win.
And it's nothing special and incredibly boring.
Although the fact that he included Arrow Rain was pretty cool. That was.
Oh yeah. That was good and in fact that makes a lot of sense. Seeing as who he is.
Yeah, it was nice seeing that attack earlier in the game. Originally, only the final boss used it.
Yeah. Actually, if I would have made some changes, I would have made it to where maybe he would disable 2 keys at one time. So maybe you can't attack and use spells, so you can either use items or defend. That would have been pretty crazy, having to try to deal with that.
Yeah, that would have been simple, and it would have added a lot of challenge and depth to the fight. Because just not being able to magic or items at the same time, or fight or magic, and
in fact, it would be a strategy, maybe 1 turn, just to specifically use items to hope that he just locks that out, so you can at least attack or use magic the next turn. Just as long as he doesn't get Y and A at the same time.
Yeah.
Or in fact, what would be really funny is that if he locked a key or 2, and you accidentally hit one of the keys he locks, he counters with something just immediately. A is locked, and you're like, all right, someone you hit A accidentally, and he immediately attacks with a static key or something.
Actually, I hadn't really thought of that. The possibility of attacking the keys. That would be an interesting way to try to unlock a button.
Oh yeah, well,
that too.
Yeah, if like, you know, you don't want A to get locked, so you start attacking it with A, and then all of a sudden he locks A, defending it from being attacked. that would actually add a layer that like all that's cool. All this is cool. What is there now is not cool.
No. Now, then we go to Mole Mountain and fight Kroko for the second time, and that wasn't a bad change, I don't think. Originally, midway through the fight, he stole all your items, so you had to rely on your attacks and magic, and you had to use magic to heal, and if it so happened that you were out of MP whenever he steals those items, you're pretty much screwed. So instead, what happens in this version is, midway through the fight, he sets out a bunch of small bombs for you to deal with. And now I didn't think that was too bad. The stealing item things just kind of sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it was unique. It was like a permanent bowyer hitting the X key, you know? That's all it was, because you get your items back immediately after the fight. So, I really don't know what else I would do. I don't guess I care either way. And honestly, the last few times I've ever played Mario RPG, it was of little significance because, you know what's coming, so you just make sure your FP's topped off and you're fine.
Yeah.
It's like no problem at all.
Now,
but yeah, I don't know what else I would possibly add because that's kind of his thing. He's a thief. He steals. So.
True.
Actually, what would have been interesting is if he did steal your items, and based on what's in your inventory, he could start using those on himself. Like,
that would be nasty.
I don't know how you would be able to keep up with that. Again, this is probably something that wouldn't be possible with Romhacks, but like if you have 4 mushrooms and he can possibly use 4 mushrooms, or like let's say he could summon enemies and if they died and you had some pick-me-ups, he could use those. That would be kind of cool. But and that would make it a much more tedious fight, and that would make it much more like nail biting, seeing as, oh no, I can't use items now. Oh no, he's using my items. But after the fight, you would still get all your items back as if he didn't use them, because if he actually used them and took them out of your inventory, that would be really lame.
Especially since one of those items that you could possibly have is a red essence.
Yeah, and a Kira Cola.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in that same dungeon where we fight Kroko for the second time, there's Punchinello. The original strategy for Punchinello is he sends out bombs, and as the battle goes on, he sends out bigger bombs. And you would think that if Kroko is changed to send out bombs, Punchinello would be changed, and he wasn't.
No, he wasn't changed. Aside from stats, obviously he has more HP, but as far as the gimmick goes, no, he wasn't changed. But I will go out on a limb and say that I would prefer that Bowyer be unchanged compared to what he was. So Punchinello being unchanged, I'm actually not that bent up over it.
Yeah.
I would rather him still have his same gimmick than him not have it at all, you know?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like, you know, if you strip Punchinello's bombs away, what is he, you know?
A Punchinello bag.
Oh.
Yeah.
A Punchinello, get it?
It just would have been nice had something been changed, though.
It's just kind of a random thing. Like, what do you do? Like, what would you do if you could think of something to change, Dre? What would you do?
Have to fight that giant bomb that pops up.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Like, oh, that would be. I would like that. And if you beat it, like if you don't beat it, like it could be auto game over. Like actually put some emphasis behind it. And if you beat it, it still blows up because you know the way you get the stars. You know, I don't know. I was actually thinking more along the lines of like the bombs kind of have like a Tonberry thing to them. Where, you know, in Final Fantasy, Tonberry will, like, slowly encroach on you, and if he gets close to you, destroys you. but if you attack them, they get closer to Punchinello. They like get blown back, and if you can hit them back far enough, they actually dealt damage to Punchinello instead of you. Yeah, I don't think that's possible in a ROM hack, but I'm just spitballing here. But I actually do like the thought of fighting that giant freaking bomb, because that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
And in fact, that giant bomb is an enemy in the original game. One of the later bosses will randomly summon it.
Oh wow! Wait, was that summoned in the Kamek fight or one of the
Kamek fight, which we'll get to in a little bit. First, let's talk about Booster. There's not a lot to say about the fight itself. I think I never really fought Booster in the original game because the item you would get for not fighting him is much better than the item you would get for fighting him.
Right.
But there was one little change I noticed in this version of the game. I looked up a fact, and apparently in the original game you would get like a flower tab if you actually fought him, which, like I said, not all that great. But in this game it was changed. You would get this strange piece of candy that was infinite use and healed status effects on one person. And the catch being it was only usable on the person who was using the item, which makes it pretty much pointless because...
Therapy.
Well, not only that, but the biggest status effects that you would want to use it for are Scarecrow and Mushroom, and if you're Scarecrow or Mushroom, you can't use items in the first place.
Oh, that's lame. You're right.
Yes. So, by the way, I would say that item should be usable on anybody, not just on the user.
Yeah, but Group Hug cures all status elements anyways on all your party members. It's like literally rendered useless.
Yeah, but at the same time, Group Hug should sort of be nerfed for that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think if you were trying to make the game more even, that you would take away group hugs away to cure status, and make therapy the only status removing heal spell.
Yes.
That would put a lot more stress on when like let's say you have a status like prevent shroom, the transform pin on Peach, and Smilax hits you with the petal blast, and you got Mario and whoever else a mushroom, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But no, Peach gets a turn, and then bloop, everybody's back. It's just too easy.
Yeah.
Hey, you better be careful with all that too easy talk.
No, I'm just talking about as far as status effects are concerned.
Version 7 of Revolution. Now it only does it for one. Are you happy now?
No, I'm just saying that the amount it heals is nice, and the fact status effect, like by the time you get her turn anyways, you need to restore some HP anyways. So that's just too much. That's too much convenience. But yeah, again, I didn't really fight Booster all that much. Like the first time or two I played the game, I didn't know if you eventually were gonna get caught anyways or whatever. So I never thought to just really try that hard. But once I found out you can actually just avoid the fight altogether, I never fought him again. I can't remember the last time I fought.
Especially
Booster.
Since the amulet you get from him is so dang good.
Yeah, it's a little smelly though.
Great item, bad smell. That's one of those items that it's it really needed a good description.
You know what else did too? The red cap and the falcon helm. Those could have used better descriptions, and those weren't even in the original game. The descriptions for that were typed out by the ROM hacker, and they don't say a thing.
Yeah,
not anything useful.
And you get those by spending frog coins in seaside towns. So it's do you waste your frog coins on items you don't even know what they're going to do?
No.
No.
Simply no. Just not gonna do it.
I bet that's how you beat Jinx.
That'd be funny. And sad. Anyway, beat Booster, fight Knife Guy and Great Guy. I didn't really notice any difference with them, but whatever. The battle was still enjoyable.
Yeah, it's unchanged. They still kind of grouped up together and stood on each other's shoulders, and that's fine.
I think
and honestly, I can't think of any real change, though.
I think if there was a change, it might have been that they don't unstack. Because I know in the original game, after you beat up one of them enough and you don't kill them, they still unstack and go back to normal. Maybe that was removed?
Maybe.
I don't know. Didn't really find out.
No,
Anyway,
yeah, they did unstack. I'm sure of it.
Anyway, then we reached the cake, and that's where I died.
Yeah. Yeah. First death of the game.
Yeah,
At the freaking cake.
which was not where I expected to die for the first time.
Yeah. But, oh gosh, that was so hard. Big bang. All I'm saying, big bang.
Yeah.
Big
Well-
Bang Attack!
I'm going to say a lot more than that because the changes to the cake was rather complicated, and Waddler-D actually had to explain that to me himself. Now, in the original game, the cake had two halves, the top half and the bottom half. You couldn't get to the bottom half until you killed the top half. The way to kill the top half was to hit it enough times to blow out each of the candles on its head. Every
Right.
time you hit it, a candle blew out. Every time the cake attacked, a candle relit. So you had to attack more times than the cake. In this version, the cake's candles were actually a countdown of sorts. After a certain amount of time, all the candles would blow themselves out, I guess. And once they're all blown out, the cake would use Big Bang, which was a really powerful attack that would most likely kill you. Now, here's something that I have a problem with. When we fought him, the first attempt we died at the hand of Big Bang. The second attempt, we killed the top half before it could use Big Bang, and it turned out we didn't have to fight the bottom half. What I've been told is that the bottom half you do actually fight, but only if you avoid Big Bang. If the cake uses Big Bang, then you have to fight the bottom half, and I think that is dumb.
That's incredibly dumb. Also, what is the recommended level for fighting the cake?
I
Do
don't
you
know.
even know?
No.
Well, the thing is, it's got to be really high to even survive Big Bang to begin with, you know?
Well, I'm sure had I healed, I would have survived. But here's the thing. The fact that you only fight the bottom half if you survive Big Bang, that's backwards. I think you should fight the bottom half if you kill the top half before it can use Big Bang, because after it uses Big Bang, you're really hurting. And then you gotta fight the bottom half too? No, I think the bottom half should be fought if you kill the top half fast enough, because then you're in condition to actually deal with the bottom half.
Yeah, and obviously, if you're strong enough to beat him that quickly, you're in a position to where like you've proven that you can you're worth trying to fight the bottom half. It's like I don't know. I agree. I agree with Dre completely.
Plus, let's think about this logically. If my buddy who was sitting on top of me exploded, I'd be kind of dead.
Yeah, with a name like Big Bang, it doesn't sound like there will be a lot of survivors.
No.
Maybe even some new universes. I'm also here.
Yeah, but I will say I actually kind of liked the original fight. How it did not matter how much damage you can deal. That fight really was relying on your speed stat. Like, that was actually, your speed stat was more important than your attack.
And your defense.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's really kind of interesting.
The less you needed to heal, the more often you could attack.
Absolutely.
Now, we went through Star Road, and there wasn't a boss there, but I remember there was an interesting enemy we encountered there. It was a purple Bahamut, and that thing was not in the original game. So it brings up something else about this Romhack, and that's that in the original copy of Mario RPG, there are an assortment of unused enemies. And it seems like Waddler-D took those enemies and put them back into the game so you could fight them, and that was pretty cool.
I agree.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on, we get to Kraken.
Actually, real quick, I think there's actually a video on YouTube where you could see all the sprites. Like, there was someone that went through and Romhacked them all back in and made like a little showing off all the enemies that were in the game. And what's also interesting is that they also had their flavor text if they were psychopaths by Mallow, and showed those off too. So I'm not really sure what to look up, but if you look for it, you'll find it.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Anyway, Kraken, giant blooper, not really sure what that thing was called. It was the thing where we had to fight a chain of tentacles in order to get to the blooper at the end. And first off, I want to say that I'm glad that was kept, because considering the other changes to the bosses, it would not have surprised me had we been skipped straight to the boss at the end.
Right. Or maybe that the tentacles would respawn or something, you know?
Well, instead, the last pair of tentacles by the head could not be killed. You had to deal with the head while also taking damage from the tentacles, and I thought that was a good change.
I agree. That is adding a layer of difficulty that would challenge your ability to deal with it, because if you're playing it originally, you're going to get rid of the tentacles so you could just focus on the main body. And that's an added challenge. Anything basically that would be like you could do in the original just to challenge yourself, that's kind of cool. You know, I like that.
Yeah.
They don't have to be major changes like with Bowyer, just little things that just add a bit of flavor to the fight.
A bit of flavor to the already flavor existing.
Right. A compliment.
Yes, that's a good word for it.
Yes, a compliment to the fight.
Yes.
Let's see, Battle of Johnny. I don't know if there was a difference. I think, like, at the beginning of the fight, he didn't summon his crew until a couple turns in, but other than that, don't know if there were any real differences. I didn't let the one-on-one fight happen, so I don't even know if that was still in there.
Oh, I know a good change that would be for this fight. If, like, everybody knows about how to avoid the one-on-one fight, right? Like, that's a pretty common knowledge. If you played this game a few times, you had to have heard how to avoid the one-on-one fight, right? What would have been a really good addition was that if Mario was dead, the one-on-one fight still happened, and he just came back with 1 HP, and then he'd be like, "Oh crap, no!" And you would, assuming if Mario didn't get the turn, then you would obviously die. That would have been a really good, kind of ha-ha to the player, kind of like how the cursor ring was kind of a troll. That would have been a good change too.
Troll.
Or even, and what would be even worse is if he just stayed down. He's like, "All right, Mario, it's one-on-one fight," and he's already on the ground. Game over.
Then comes
Johnny would look like a real a-hole.
Yeah, I know that one's more funny than anything else. But the fact that fight has been so exploited as much as it has, I think that would have been a really interesting thing to do.
Exploit back.
Yeah.
Then there's Yuridovich. Well, not a whole lot to say about him. He's partly the same. He was given a spear ring, which was a good idea, I think.
I agree, because that's his head is the spear.
Yes.
Like, that's a cool idea.
Even though they're tridents.
Tridents. Yeah, well, it's what can you do,
Whatever.
Now, like, I think the drill bits were fine, right?
Yeah.
It is. But if I could do something, maybe bring the mirages back, but instead of having 2, maybe 3, or maybe a way that every time you hit the right one, they would, like, mix up again, so you had to try to find it again,
Well, here's the thing. The Mirage attack in the original game was actually broken. Because you would still be targeting the real Yuridovich, so you wouldn't have to guess which one was right. So something that might have been nice is if somehow your cursor was mixed up, so you actually had to take the time to figure out which one was the real one.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was going with the mixing up thing. because it would be really easy to just
Well,
hit the
yeah,
right
so long
one.
as your cursor didn't stay on the right one.
Yeah, exactly. Just mix it up, mix them up. Like, actually, what I'm thinking of right now is an optional fight in Chrono Trigger with the Son of Suns, where you couldn't damage the boss without hitting the right one of 5 possible targets. And every few turns, the boss would mix up which one you had to hit, so you had to find it again. And in fact, if you hit the wrong one, it would counter with an attack. So, like, that would be kind of cool. Like, if out of the 2 Yurdoviches, if one was missed, or if you hit the right one, cool. And if you hit the wrong one, countered with something bad. And then every now and then it would just mix its place up, something to make it, because that's really cool to take something that was wrong with the original fight and kind of fixing it 4 square,
Yeah. And also the fake Yardovich, if you did actually hit it, it actually had a lower defense, so that helped make it easier to tell which one was the real one. I think that should be kept. Just make it so that the cursor doesn't automatically target the right one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, it couldn't hurt.
Alright, then there's a while without bosses. There was that gas cloud that was kind of hard, but I don't think there were any changes to it.
Maybe HP increase. I don't know.
Yeah, but the real next boss would be Belome number 2. And that was a nice change. He still did the clone things, which I'm glad for, but the twist is that while the clones are out, you can't attack Belome. And while that lengthened the battle a little bit, I thought it was a nice addition.
Yeah, because originally what everybody would do is just wait for him to clone, like, Mario twice. Not Bowser. If you're taking Bowser, don't let him clone, he hits hard. Don't let him clone Peach, because Peach heals. Don't let him clone, like, Mario. He does,
Well, actually,
negligible damage.
Actually, when I play the original game, I never actually bother with the clones. I just leave them alone and focus on Belome.
Oh, yeah, I actually got picky about which clones were out. I'd wait till 2 Marios were out and just smash Belome a new one.
I just picked 2 party members that aren't actually going to be helpful for him.
Oh, I just picked Mallow and Peach, and Mario was more than enough to take care of.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah. So this makes it to where, regardless, you can't avoid fighting. You had to fight the clone. So, yeah, I think that right there is a wonderful change.
Then there's Smilax, can't think of any difference for that fight. Birdo, can't think of any difference with that fight. Valentina, now that was a fight that was changed in a way that I'm not entirely sure I like. In the original game, when the battle starts, Valentina calls Dodo on stage. Dodo takes your middle party member, and that one party member has to fight Dodo one-on-one. And even though that was kind of hard, on the other hand, it added a bit of strategy, because once you know that's going to happen, you'd be able to pick a certain party member to deal with that situation better. And that was nice. In this version, that doesn't happen at all. Instead, Dodo is gone for a little bit at first, and then when Dodo finally does show up, occasionally Valentina tells Dodo to use some powerful attack specifically on Mario. And that wasn't as good, especially since you could pretty much defend that attack and not really worry about it.
Well, I'm seeing a theme with all these, and you know what it is? Stop taking away what made the fights original.
Yeah.
Stop that. Don't do that. Leave them in there and add something. Like, the whole commanding Dodo to do a big attack. That's cool. I like that. Build off of that. But don't take away, like, the whole, this is cool because of this,
Yeah, in fact, what might have been interesting is if Dodo took away somebody other than the middle person. Like, what if Dodo took away the person on the far right? Here you'd
What if he took away somebody random?
That would be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, but you have to be prepared.
True. But
Or
anyway,
what if Dodo ran off with had to? This would make the fight extremely long. But what if at 3 different points ran off to one-on-one with each one of your characters?
That would suck.
Yeah, it would.
or
But
the way the fight originally works, once you defeat Dodo one-on-one, after a few turns, that character returns to the main fight. What if the character didn't return to the main fight and you had to fight Valentina with your 2 remaining characters?
yeah, that would be a wrench in the gears.
That would grind mine.
Alright, next boss, Sard Dragon. Didn't notice anything with it. It still worked fairly the same way.
Yeah. And no, I'm not going to complain over no changes because most of the changes are not that great.
Yeah. Ixzion Rangers. Oh my
Ah!
Ouch.
That was painful. Because that big head in the back used... Oh, what is that attack called?
Breaker beam.
Breaker Beam. It actually used Breaker Beam earlier in the fight, when you least expect it.
But you know what? While that was incredibly difficult, that was like that moment when you realize you're like, oh no! that was genuine, and I actually kind of liked it. You know?
Yeah.
I still think it was a little too hard for being a Romhack that is supposed to make the game more even. But I still like if this were for a Romhack that was specifically supposed to make the game much harder, that would have been a wonderful addition. That would have been perfect. I think that if you were going to add Breaker Beam along with the Ixzion Rangers like that, maybe nerf how much damage it does a little bit, and then it'd still be fine, you know?
Well, it could have been more like the beam could have been at like half power for the first part of the fight, and then when they were all together, then it could have been superpowered.
Yeah. Now, this is assuming, like, because all of the Ixzion Rangers
Actually,
have, you know...
hold on. It sort of was like that, Ixzion, but instead it was full power for the first half of the fight and double power for the second half.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then he shot a Kamehameha at you.
Right.
Oh, that was nice.
Goodness gracious. That was a hard fight, though, but...
That was a satisfactory win.
But as far as the changes, too hard, but I like where it went, like where you were going with it. It was at least kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we come to Kamek, who was Bowyer.
Yeah, that's all it was. Just copy-paste. Copy-pasta.
Now, Kamek was the one who originally would summon a random enemy midway through the fight, and you had to kill that enemy before you could kill Kamek. So, having him change to use Bowyer's original strategy was not only lame, but it wasn't very interesting because you didn't have those buttons there representing the lock controls. It didn't... There was no flair to it. It's just... disappointing.
I think it would have been interesting if Kamek... if you were actually forced to go through all of Kamek's possible summons. Like, you know, the dragon, the bomb, and the mimic. You had to go through them all, you know? Again,
actually,
long fight.
It was the dragon, the bomb, and a Jinx clone.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Plus, in the original game, Kamek is a complete pushover, so having to go through all 3 enemies in order to get to him would have definitely helped get the battle to a more proper challenge.
I agree.
And speaking of taking away strategies, Boomer didn't change his. And I'll get to that as soon as I answer the phone.
Alright.
Hello?
I should call Dre again when he goes back to sit down.
Alright, try to keep it warm for me. I'll be a little bit...
Oh, that'd be funny.
You want me to do it? I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Alright, here I am.
Alright.
Ready?
Yeah. I think I'm ready.
Alright. Wasn't sure if you were doing... answering the phone again.
Alright.
Lantis! I was wondering what you were talking about. Do you want me to do it? I'll do it. What?
Oh, you were hearing that.
If I wasn't so distracted by the phone call, I would have caught you.
That makes it all the funnier.
What was I saying? Boomer didn't change his strategies. In the original game, partway through the fight, he would change from red to blue, and that would make it so that his physical defense kind of dropped to 0, but he had some more powerful attacks, like an instant death attack. In this version, I'm really not sure what happened. It was like, towards the end, he exploded a little and took some damage, and what did that do exactly?
I don't know. You know what? Again, don't change the original strategies of the boss. Add to them. Like, maybe make it to where he changed more frequently, but in blue form, only magic would damage, and no physical attacks would work. In the red form, only the exact opposite. And maybe they would have to juggle between trying to, deal enough damage to finally get him, even though he's switching back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that would have been an interesting change. He'd still have his, ability to change. I don't think he ever changed back. Once he went to blue, he never went back to red, but...
Well, yeah, he could change back to red if the battle lasted long enough, but generally, you'd kill him in his blue form before he got a chance to change back.
Yes.
Speaking of changing back, Ixzion. Disappointing.
Yeah. Like, he took away the strategy of having to target specific things to be able to deal damage to the Ixzion's main core, and just made it random instead. I mean, I've mentioned this a lot of things, not on video, like when we're just talking about video games in like a Google Hangout. I hate random in RPG. In a game that's mostly about strategy and planning, you don't throw in random aspects, right? It makes it I don't like it.
And it makes no logical sense in this case. Why did he purposely remove his protection? I guess so he could use a more powerful attack, but aside from that, it was... I kind of prefer to be able to punch his eye out so I can get to the thing on top of the sword.
You know what would make that fight more difficult? If you could only damage the core if both eyes were out.
Yeah, something like that. But just having the protection randomly go down, like it makes it so that what you're doing doesn't really matter. You just have to wait for the game to allow you to do something.
Yeah, that pretty much. Otherwise, we're just sitting there attacking the eyes and mouth, which have a lot more HP, and you're less likely to kill anyway.
But, we should have just defended until the thing was frickin' weak again.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Just defend it.
Hindsight.
2020. Oh well.
Countdown. Not a big change to him, except it kind of was, kind of wasn't. Basically, you could no longer attack the bells. Originally, the bells were also targets, and you had the option of either you attack the clock first or you'd attack the bells first. Here, it was only the clock, but the bells still attacked. I don't think that's a real problem, personally.
Honestly, I think that if I were given creative control over changing countdown, I would replace a lot of his spells with something a little bit more devastating. Maybe
Actually,
put in...
now that you mention it, one of Countdown's original attacks was this spell called Roulette, which would randomly instantly kill one of your characters, and that wasn't... I don't think I saw that anywhere in this game.
Nope. And Safety Badge protects against instant death, I want to say. If not, you can protect from death items in the game.
Yeah.
Like the Jinx belt, I believe, protects from instant death.
And stuff.
Right. So that's not such a big deal.
No, not really.
In fact, give him back roulette. Don't take that away. That threw in a bit of like oh no to it.
Yeah,
especially when it's so easy to revive party members. Like they come back with full HP.
Plus, it looked neat having that gem floating over your heads, and it's like, oh my goodness, where's it going to land?
No.
Speaking of looking neat, I thought Boyer was disappointing, but then we come to not the snake.
Domino. Oh, what you would thought was going to be Domino and I can't remember.
Oh,
it's the two dudes that eventually became to that snake fight, which was one of the most coolest looking boss fights in the entire game. Just that giant snake head all wiggling around, and you look in the background, and he's all like wrapped around pillars and stuff like that. Like this thing is huge, right? And it looks awesome.
And devastating. It was probably one of the hardest bosses in the original game, which is saying something considering that it's the original game.
Right. Yeah. But instead, it was replaced with enemies you see later in the game. Like,
well, actually, one of them wasn't even... It comes back to reusing or using enemies that didn't appear in the original, because the Defender, which we fought against instead, was not in the original game.
Isn't that the same thing as Gunyolk? It's just at least the same model or sprite?
No.
It was not at all.
It's a recolor of that one enemy from the volcano that was a head and body.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're right. But and I'm glad that he reused some of those. He should have reused every single one of the discarded sprites. Like that should have been one of the key elements.
Wasn't there a Gunyolk recolor?
I think there was.
Maybe?
That's probably what I'm getting it mixed up with. That's why I'm probably getting it.
But anyway, the Defender fight, while it was an interesting surprise seeing a completely different boss battle, it was boring by comparison.
It was a little fun figuring out how it worked, but it was still just nothing compared to what you could have done had you left in the fight with the snake, which changes its name based on who you kill first.
And strategy.
Yeah.
Which
could have...
Why would you remove that? That was a really interesting gimmick. You choose which character you want to kill, and that results in fighting one of two different snakes.
Oh, you know what would have been really cool? You killed off one enemy, so the other one takes the snake. You kill that guy, and the dude that you originally killed comes back, like second wind, and takes over the snake, and you have to fight both versions of the snake.
Well, that would take away a bit of the strategy. Maybe for the second half of the snake fight, instead of being at full strength, it would be like at half strength as a result, because we already beat on it.
Right.
Or that, yeah.
Something like that.
I
don't know.
Something like that.
That or just leave it untouched, because that's a good fight.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's no reason to touch that one, really.
It was not unbalanced, if you want to go that way.
Yeah.
Gunyolk. Not a lot of changes. Actually, the only change I can think of was it actually shot Ace, which was just silly. Took the name a little bit literal there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Gunyolk. Like, all right, well, obviously that's something to do with eggs, so... And aside from that, no real change, I don't think. You still have to fight the little manager guy in Gunyolk, and...
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Which is fine. Alright, and then we come to Smithy. There is so much to talk about here.
Oh, gosh.
Isn't there?
Yeah, and you know, we didn't really talk about it during the actual video because we were too busy going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Mommy,
why?
I was really close to hyperventilating at one point.
Right? Golly, those cliffhangers, man.
Oh,
gee, but...
Alright, so there's two halves to talk about here. Let's start with the first half, because it makes no sense talking about the second half first. First half, now the way the original fight worked was similar to how it worked here. You fight Smithy, and this thing on the wall would spit out some molten metal, and Smithy would build some shysters, and the shysters would join the fight. And if you don't want any more shysters, you kill that thing on the wall. Now,
Easy enough.
originally I would completely ignore all that and focus entirely on Smithy, because that thing on the wall had a ton of HP, and the shysters, even though they did cause a bunch of damage, I generally was able to survive just by keep using group hug every turn.
Right.
In this version, that strategy is impossible because
Out the
those
window.
shysters heal 1,000 HP to Smithy
Yeah, collectively.
collectively. So you actually had to go after that thing on the wall in order to actually be able to get rid of those shysters and focus on Smithy, and that was wonderful change. I love that strategy.
In fact, you couldn't even hit the smelter until he first made some of the, 2 of those little guys first. That's the only, you couldn't even target it before then. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite changes to any of the bosses in the game.
It's so funny because you had to backwards thinking. You're like, I'm just going to kill Smithy. Screw these things. Oh, crap, they heal.
A
I
lot.
gotta get rid of them. Well, I can't because the smelter's going to make more. Oh. So, just like you're tracking. You're like, all right, got to kill the smelter. All right, now I got to kill these guys. Now I can work on Smithy.
Yeah.
All the while he's just sitting there pelting you like like you done upset your daddy, and he came home from work, and your wife's like, you just wait till your daddy gets home, and you're like, oh no, I'm in trouble.
By the way, one of Smithy's attacks, Darkstar, I checked. Darkstar originally did only target one party member. In this version, it's all your entire party.
Ah.
Well, I mean, that's actually seems like it's right because it does look like it's hitting all your party.
Yeah, it's a makes more sense change.
Right.
All right. Now comes the big part. The second form of Smithy. We had no idea what we were doing.
No, we didn't, and there was no way for us to know.
Yeah. In the original game, it was sort of the same. Smithy would keep changing heads, although he changed heads better than when we fought him. And he didn't use his original head. His first head, he immediately changed into those other heads, and the only way to attack his first head is if you got the first turn. But aside from that, it was more or less just focus on the head. You could attack the body. The body had 1,000 HP. Smithy's head had 8,000 HP. The body, if you kill the body simply can't attack for the few turns and then would revive. And so what I would do is never even bother with the body. I would focus solely on the head, and that's pretty much what we did here. Except that is completely the wrong way we were supposed to do it, apparently.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. Like I said, originally Smithy's head had 8,000 HP and the body had 1,000. In this version, Smithy's head has 3,000 HP and the body has 9,000.
Goodness.
And
Gracious.
here's what changed. The Smithy's head was still the primary target that we had to kill in order to finish the fight. But unlike the original game, every time Smithy's head changed, his health was restored completely.
Ugh.
In order to stop
What?
that from happening, we had to kill the body first. That's why the fight took so long, because we were focusing on the head, and the only time the body got hit was when we started using magic attacks.
You know what would have fixed that? If we actually saw the HP healing whenever the body would heal the head,
Yeah, that would have helped a lot.
That would have given us the visual cue. We needed to be like, oh, okay, well, this is obviously not going to work.
Yeah, there was no indication at all that we were fighting the wrong way.
And granted, I mean, if you saw the LP, you know how epic that fight actually was, and I'm glad it ended that way.
Yeah, for what it's
But-
worth, the fact that we were able to win despite playing the
Oh,
wrong
man.
way and despite coming so close to death on more than one occasion just helps make it more epic.
It does.
I
That
just wish...
aside, there could have been a little bit more direction as far as the fight went.
Yes.
Because, like, had you lost, like, that would have been fairly demoralizing, and, you know, you would have had, you know, just have to freaking look up how to do it and go back in there.
I'm not sure if I would have been able to look up how to do it, because this is a Romhack, and... Even though there might be a video of it, I'd still see them focusing on the head. There'd also be focus on the body, but I would not pay a whole lot of attention to that. I might get clued into it, but I would still... I would probably skip to the end of the video and find out whether the head was attacked last or the body. And I'd see that the head was attacked last, and I would still focus on the head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you need to show that the head's getting cured.
Yes.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, no other way.
Yes, because the only way to actually kill the head is to kill the body first.
Yep.
And finally, Jinx and Coolix. Through Jinx and Coolix.
Yeah.
Hold on. Before you move on too much, what about that ultimate attack of Smithy's?
Oh, that. Yeah, that should be explained a little. Apparently, whenever Smithy is in that head, after a few turns, he'll power up and use Ultimatum, which will instantly kill anybody who isn't at full health and is defending. The way that we avoided that was by causing 1,000 damage to the head.
I thought it was to the body.
No, that's what we thought, because it was the body that exploded and took damage. And we thought it was because we were attacking the body that stopped the head, but no. Attacking the head for 1,000 damage, after it takes 1,000 damage, he doesn't use Ultimatum, and there's an explosion that damages the body.
Oh, gosh. By the way, guys, knowing that now, that moment when we had Peach do Psycho Bomb and actually stop that from happening, oh, gosh, that was so lucky. Because we had no idea what the HP was, how close he was to, you know, taking that damage. Oh, man.
All right, guys, hear me out. Attack him.
Oh, and using that song from Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah. That was funny. Oh, God, that fight. But yeah, just Jinx and Coolix, screw them. Like, even max level, that's just too hard.
Yes.
Pull it back.
6 attacks in one turn? Are you crazy?
Respawning the gems? Are you crazy?
I cannot even talk. That has me so up in arms. What the?
But that's it, guys. Pretty much for all the changes that this Romhack provides. So there you go.
Yeah. So, which brings me to why I play this. As I mentioned plenty of times before, the reason I chose this was because I wanted a more challenging version of Mario RPG, because the original game to me got too boring. And did this help me enjoy Mario RPG again? Yes, but not in the way you might have expected. I actually enjoy the original more now because of how tedious this game got. My original problem was the original game was too easy. And then playing this, I realized there was another big problem that the original game had. If you fight every single battle, it takes forever because there's way too many battles. Like in Land's End, there's that one section with the lizards shooting out of cannons, and there's 8 of them there. In the factory, you have 5 battles in a row on one screen against the Axum Rangers.
Ooh, yeah.
And going after them all gets too tedious. Now, the obvious solution is, well, just skip some of the battles. Well, while I can do that in the original Mario RPG, I can't do that here. This game is too hard. I can't afford to skip too many battles because the game ramps up in difficulty pretty dang quickly.
Yeah.
It punishes you if you skip battles.
And again, this is supposed to be a ROM hack that makes the game more balanced, not overly difficult, right? This isn't a hard ROM hack. This isn't like Kaizo Mario RPG. This is supposed to be balanced.
Yeah,
That's not balanced.
Yeah, I should fight these random encounters because I want to, not because I have to. To an extent, anyway. I mean, I still kind of do have to, but just not to the same extent as what's done here, where I have to fight almost every single battle. And the only reason I skipped some battles was because, oh my goodness, no, I don't think so. Like that Chain of 5 Axon Rangers, the original Axon Rangers were hard enough. I wasn't about to fight their clones.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's start finishing things up here, because this has been an incredibly long review.
Yeah, well, he just did a detailed review of every boss fight in the game. If you are still listening to this or watching this, thank you for putting up with it thus far.
Yes.
I was going to say that if you're still listening to this after, an hour, then you're probably Waddler-D.
So, here's the thing I'm going to do here. This is going to be something new for me. I'm sure other reviewers have done this. Lantis told me about one person who did this. But here's what I'm going to do. Instead of rating this game on like 5 stars or a scale of 1 to 10, I am just going to ask this very basic question. Would I play this again? And the answer is slightly complicated, but the simple answer is yes, I would play this again. But, only because from what Waddler-D has commented on my videos, it sounds like he's going to redo some of this hack, change some of it here and there. This is version 5, so supposedly there is going to be a version 6. And that would be what I would eventually play, because I'm curious what sort of fixes he would make to that.
Right.
I mean, if this was the final version, no, I would not play this ever again. It was nice playing it once, but once is enough. Version 6, I'll try playing that. With that said, since there is going to be potentially another version, we should probably make some suggestions. And the first one, as I got into, is ease up a bit on the difficulty. Allow me to skip some of the battles here and there. The battles are so tedious to fight them all, and with the increased difficulty, they also take so much longer, so you effectively doubled the length, possibly even tripled the length of Super Mario RPG because of how much more time it takes to level up through all these random encounters.
That's artificially lengthening, too. That's not, like, actually adding stuff to the game. That's all just artificial length.
And next thing, I'm sure Lantis would like to point this out.
Fix Geno Boost! That was my favorite spell from the first one. It is way too expensive and near impossible to get off.
That's not even balanced. That's not even balanced.
Either
like, look, if you're going to do that, then either make Geno Boost cost like 1 FP or charge what you do and just leave it alone.
Yeah, like, seriously, if I'm going to pay 18 flower points
12.
for Geno Boost, I better dang well get freaking defense up, too.
Yeah, I'd say keep it at 12, but make it easier to time it. I mean, I'd even accept changing it to 20 frames instead of 30. It doesn't have to be all the way back to 30 frames. 20 frames would still be manageable.
2 frames?
Yeah, 2 frames.
It said that you can't even blink that fast.
Yeah, when I looked into the editor and looked at how many frames Geno Boost was changed to, I figured that was a typo. Like, maybe he meant to type 20 and accidentally forgot to add the 0, but I actually asked Waddler-D, and he said, yep, it's supposed to be 2 frames.
And still cost 12 FP. Get out of here.
Oh,
get out of here.
I ain't trying to hear that. Oh, goodness gracious. One of my favorite spells. Now it's cost too much and is useless.
Yeah, you saw me using it through the Jinx fight. That was just in the hopes of getting the defense boost, which I got like twice out of like 10 times. So yeah, it's way too hard for the cost. Balance it out, please. Also, this is going to sound like an odd request, but nerf group hug. Make it so that it doesn't restore status effects. Make it restore only HP, because the way it is with both restoring HP and status effects, it's broken.
I completely agree. That makes the game way too easy, and it almost completely negates the worry of status effects in the game entirely. Especially if you've got something that prevents status effects on Peach.
Yeah, everybody turned into a mushroom. Group hug, all better.
Yeah, I mean, it's no longer a concern.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also important. Nerf Kulex and Jinx. My gosh. You saw those fights. We just did them this week. And I could not beat them. I actually gave up. That's how hard they are.
After cheating. You gave up after
cheating.
After cheating.
At max level.
Yeah.
Again, this is not supposed to be a ROM hack. That's supposed to be difficult. This is supposed to be balanced.
And they are not.
They're balanced, all right.
Slow down Jinx's speed and don't let those gems revive. Jeez.
Freaking Jinx. Quicksilver then Jinxed. So that you can't. So you get down to 1 HP and then you can't block.
Yeah.
Just annihilation. And he does six
Turns.
Man. 6 at a time.
No. Not good. Not cool. Not cool.
Damn, you can at least make it 3.
And even 3's a lot.
Oh, another thing I should point out. This is a fallacy, a cliche of sorts that a lot of RPGs have. Is when you have a game with an ultimate boss, but you can't. But by the time you can defeat the ultimate boss, you're already done with the game and don't need whatever reward you can get from that ultimate boss. I would like to be able to beat Kulex before going into the final dungeon.
No. The way it is now, that is impossible. That is absolutely impossible. Not without slowdown, save states, and all the above. You know, just cheat.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest reason why I didn't bother trying to win. 'Cause there's no point. Whatever they might give me, I'm not actually going to be using them because I'm done with the game anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, don't take away boss strategies. Add to them, complement them. Bowyer's an example. Keep the button thing, just enhance the button thing.
Right. Oh, gosh. Like, so, I think it's really funny because we've given more criticism, more help to this ROM hack than probably anybody's ever given any ROM hack ever. Like, this has been a severe breakdown of all of the ROM hack in all of its elements. Like, if there's going to be another version, take this to heart. We're not bashing. We're just telling you how we felt as we played the game.
We're just cuddling you really roughly.
Yep.
Also, bring back the snake fight. It was awesome.
Yes. Defender was boring.
And believe it or not, that is it. We have not only reviewed this game, we have gone in depth with what was wrong with the game, what could be better.
Right.
And
what was right.
This is probably the longest review that I'll ever make. It won't be the longest review Lantis will ever make, though, because that's already...
Oh, gosh.
This
ROM hack is much better than that. Much better. Oh, my gosh, much better.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. If you do make version 6 of this game, I'll play it. I won't let's play it. Maybe it'll be a long play on my other channel. But
that's a good idea.
I'll definitely try it out if you update this game. Other than that, that's the end of the review. And before we finish, I'd like to thank everybody who took part in this Let's Play. I would like to thank Mayokai 6 times. I would like to thank Sarah's Knight 6 times. I would like to thank the True Coolness 2 times. I'd like to thank Alan 2 times. I'd like to thank Ixzion's sister 3 times. Deeper Kyo 3 times. Bonanza 6 times. Kajak 2 times. Feore 5.5 times. Sir Rosser 10 times. Shadowfox 24 times. Ixion 47 times. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank Lantis 0 times. I mean 83 times.
No!
83 times.
Wow, the fact that you actually kept up with how many people joined and for how long that's a lot of dedication, buddy.
And as for the Smithy fight, I'd also like to thank Ricky Ramirez, however you pronounce your name, person from Mexico. I would like to thank you for letting me use that awesome picture for the Smithy fight.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. But oh gosh, this has been a wild ride for the past.
And one more thanks. Thank you, GarianX, for translating my messages to Ricky because I cannot speak a lick of Spanish. And I am done thanking people now.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's been
wait, one more. Thank you for watching.
Yep. Catch you later, guys. You, the player.
Bye.
Ciao.
Later.